She is the team reporter for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the one and only Casey Phillips, the best background that we've seen so far here on the Recher podcast. Casey, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, I aim to please, Jay. Thanks for having us on. I appreciate it. Great to be here. Happy to join you. And yeah, I had to come down to our fancy studio for you.
Oh, that's amazing. And listen, we'll start right there with the Bucs top 50. I don't think you could have done it any better last night. It was so awesome. And I'm thinking about it. Everything with the recognizing 50 years of Buccaneers football, whether it's the videos with the coaches and the players of, yesteryear and current, it just seems like everything the Buccaneers are doing, everything they touch when it comes to this 50-year celebration, it's turning to gold. How cool is it to be able to be around and to see them really recognizing 5 decades of football here in the Bay Area?
Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. And yeah, our team has just been absolutely crushing this. I mean, there are so many people here involved in all of these videos. It has been a incredibly heavy lift on everyone. But what's so cool is when we hear a reaction like yours, a reaction like the fans to all of it, it makes all of it worth it. And that's what this was about, was really doing this for the fans, to honor the fact that this team has an incredible history and legacy for 50 years. And we have really loved getting to highlight and showcase the players, the coaches, the ownership, everything that makes this organization as great as it is and incredible to cover. And I think it's been really fun to get to dig up some old moments and plays and situations that maybe you'd forgotten about, and try to remind people of either the nostalgia if they were there and a part of it, but also be able to bring in this next generation of fans and help them get caught up to what this legacy is about for their fandom moving forward.
Casey, one of the things that maybe people on the outside don't necessarily know, unless you're like a big time member of the crew, you're a big Bucs fan, is just there's something different about the offensive linemen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And one of my favorite things in the last couple of years, in the last decade of covering sports here, was when you used to do the show with Donovan Smith and Ali Marpet on WDAE. It was just, you could have just put the microphone and then just walk away and just let you three talk for the entire time. And then you saw it a little bit last night too, with Ryan Jensen being one of the members of that top 50 and how much it meant to him. And he looks great. I mean, he looks fantastic. And it's just, there's something about offensive linemen. And I know our friend Carmen Vitale, she would tell me about that. She goes, Jay, they're just different. They're just so down to earth. They're just so easy to talk to. But what is it about those guys from your perspective, whether it's Donovan or Ali, or it's like the new group now? They're just top notch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's two aspects of it. Of one, just offensive linemen in general. I do think there's something to the idea that they are probably going to be humble. They're hard workers. They're not in the glory positions, and so these are people who are willing to do whatever it takes for the team, put their bodies through so much because they just love the sport and love their team. And so just the personalities that's going to mean you're probably going to be very humble. They have to be smart. They have to be hardworking. It just creates for a really awesome interview typically, and an easy person to work with. But then of course you factor in that, everybody here at the Buccaneers cares about bringing in the right kind of guy, that I am that man philosophy. And so you're already going to be prioritizing the really good guys, the really good locker room fits. So it's just taking that and even upping it. But yeah, the offensive linemen are always some of my favorites on the team, favorites to talk to. And I also love doing that show with them. They were just a blast.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that too, because, excuse me, one of the things that I know Julian Breezeball has told me for years with the Lightning, he goes, Jay, as much as it's about the player, it's about the person. It's about, we're bringing a guy in here that has to, be with us on off days and team meals. And Jason Licht in the last couple of months has really been very vocal about how he's changed, how he's brought players into the Buccaneers, whether it's via the draft or free agency. And for somebody like yourself, I mean, when you see these guys, like, what is that like? I mean, what's the common thread between Buccaneer players, not just what they are on the field, but who they are off of it?
Yeah. And I absolutely love that they do that. It's an incredible thing for me, having to spend so much time around them. I always tell everybody I spend more time around the team than my own friends or family during the season. So I am so thankful and grateful. And I have told Jason Licht and his staff this, I've told ownership this, how much I appreciate that they value that, even just selfishly, of who I am talking to and am around. But if you look at what it really means, it's easy to say like, oh, we want to bring in good locker room guys. We want to bring in good guys. Every team says that.
Right.
But what it really looks like is the fact that they had that outline of Levante David. It's this is what we want. And so I think what it boils down to is that you are a good person, that you are a hard worker, that you absolutely are in love with football, and you're going to do things the right way, put the team first, and you're going to care about giving back to the community. You're going to care about mentoring the next generation. All of those things really kind of make up who Levante is and who, therefore, that I am that man strategy is. And, having had Levante and Mike Evans here the entire time I've been here, you just see the way that really impacts, again, not just the current team, but future teams, the way that I've watched how much young guys come in. And if you have a veteran in your position room that is especially a star, you're like, I want to walk, talk, and act just like you. And so whoever that person is, that is going to not just be about how much, okay, what does Mike Evans mean to the team? But every single wide receiver that's come in, it's like, well, if Mike is doing it this way, who am I to not do it this way? And so it really creates such an incredible precedent for all of your future players coming in. And literally, when you think about legacy, it is by bringing in one Mike Evans, you can affect the legacy of teams for years to come.
Talk to me about a guy like Emeka Egbuka then, because it seems like he's just right. I mean, it's just like, and I don't mean to say this like as anything bad towards Emeka Egbuka, but it's almost like, all right, copy paste. This is the kind of guy we want, and he seems like, even from the outside, even from the first time we spoke to him over there at One Buck, he's just that guy. Like, he just seems like he fits that mold to a T.
He really does. He's an incredible person, and man, to be as polished as he is, both on and off the field, as quick as he is incredibly impressive. And I think he had a lot of hype coming in. And then it feels like he's not only lived up to it, but maybe even exceeded it. The way that Baker's talking about him, the way the other wide receivers are talking about him, the way that everyone who's around him just keeps being like, man, like, you would never think he's a rookie for any reason, on and off the field. And whether it's him speaking, whether it's the way he runs his routes, like, I just can't imagine what his ceiling is when he gets to come in and right off the bat just look like he has been a pro for 5-7 years. And when they're comparing him to Chris Godwin, again, on and off the field, what more could you want? That Mike and Chris are those guys that if you ever find out that someone is saying they are like one of those two, that's all you need to know. If someone has said that he reminds them at all of Chris Godwin, you're just like, check. Yes, we want to draft him. And I'm just really excited to see what he could become, because it just feels like there's no nervousness. There's no uncertainty. There's no, the game is too big for him. He just is coming in ready to go. And I don't know if it's the product of being part of a wide receiver room that had so much talent in college, part of a program that was so in the spotlight, playing in front of so many people, that it's not as big of an adjustment as someone who went to, some smaller school and suddenly the lights are really bright. He's just like, I've been in front of the bright lights. I've been around the superstars. I know what it looks like. And I'm just really excited to see what that's going to look like on a Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then one of the later players that have joined the team over the last couple of weeks is Teddy Bridgewater, to kind of help that quarterback room. What have you seen from him? Because I asked Bucky today after practice, I go, Bucky, what's it been like for Teddy Bridgewater and his, the usual Bucky smile grinning ear to ear, but what have you seen from Teddy Bridgewater and the impact that he's had, just being around there at One Buck?
Yeah, I am really excited about him coming in. I think that, he and Kyle are both awesome guys, awesome additions. And for me, one of the things I love about being in my role as long as I have is I know a lot of people around the league and in different roles. And it's funny how whenever you get a new player, like a free agent from somewhere, inevitably you'll get a text from someone who has covered them somewhere else. And this time I immediately got a text of, oh my gosh, you're going to love Teddy. He's amazing. He's such a good person. He's such a good interview. He's all these things. And it's totally true. I mean, he just has this infectious kind of smile, positive energy about him. And I think the fact that this is a team that has really high expectations for themselves this year, bringing in a guy like him who has so much experience, knows what this league is about, has been around so many different systems and coaches, and then even coming here, even though he is new, he has so many connections within the building of people that, on the coaching staff that have coached him before, people that he's known from other places, that it doesn't feel like he's having to start from complete scratch of not knowing anybody. So with already having all that experience and then having so many connections within the building, I think it's going to help him get up to speed a lot faster than maybe another just random quarterback that you could bring in. And so I think that it's going to be really fun to watch, this last preseason game. And, as all of the decisions get made of what that number 2 quarterback spot looks like, are you keeping 3 on the roster? Are you putting someone on the practice squad? What does that look like? And, I think that Kyle obviously has such a familiarity with this organization, with the system, and has just done everything that has been asked of him. And then Teddy also now comes in, almost like another coach in that room with just so much experience. I think now we kind of have this embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position, which again, when you're a team with really high expectations for the season, that's what you want and what you need. You don't ever want to be without Baker Mayfield, but to know that you have two really great, solid backup options is amazing.
I want to ask you about expectations here in a bit, but I want to ask you first about Todd Bowles. I was one of the people in the offseason that was staunch and can't let this guy go. The leadership. And, with everything happening with Liam Cohen and just looking at Todd. And again, I said that before you came on, teams don't go through two similar losing streaks in the middle of the season and not have some kind of murmurs that, something's going wrong or, maybe we should look elsewhere. Like, I didn't hear that at all from any, and I've been in those locker rooms, and it's incredible to see down the line how everybody was in lockstep. We're going to get out of this. We got to stick together. What have you noticed? Because one thing that I really do appreciate about Todd is, Todd's not a guy in his 30s or his 40s. Like, this is a guy that's been around football his entire life, been around the NFL pretty much his entire adult life. And he's learning to adapt, bringing in different coaches, delegating different responsibilities, making changes to his coaching staff to make sure that he puts his team in a position to succeed. What have you seen from Todd over the last couple of years that has, put him in this spot where this team really does have those high expectations going into 2025?
Yeah, look, Todd is incredible. And I think that he is someone that people have some misconceptions about because when he gets on the podium, he's just very stoic. Mm-hmm. And occasionally when they cut to him at, on the sideline of the game, he looks very stoic. Let me tell you, outside of those scenarios, that is not what everybody here sees. Like, he has so much personality. He's so funny. He's so smart. And he's a player's coach in the best sense of that word look, this man has won a Super Bowl as a player and a coach. Like, he knows what he is doing. He knows what it takes on both levels. And he's someone who really empowers the players to tell him also what they need and how they feel. And they know he's listening. They know he understands. That's a really big deal for them. And I think the fact that he does have such great relationships where, look, if a guy's like, hey man, I'm not understanding this, I need some more work. Like, we've heard the stories of the different DBs going and just like, he finds them on his couch in his office of like, all right, I guess we're watching film now. We're going to help this. He will do anything and everything to put his players in a position to succeed. He is not a coach that just says, this is my system, my way or the highway, figure it out. Like, there have been times that man has dealt with more injuries at certain positions, right, and he's just having to cobble together some stuff. And I just love that he is this football genius, brilliant mind who will forever be able to chess game it and figure out how to put guys in a position to succeed, no matter what hand he's kind of dealt in that situation of how many injuries or what's going on. So I think that he's someone who is, everybody really respects his football mind. And they also just really respect the way that he treats everybody in the building. And like we were talking about with the I am that man philosophy for players, I feel like Todd fits the I am that man philosophy as a coach. That I hear stories all the time from coaches and people that have worked with him for years where they're like, he is so good to us. And it's little things like that that I don't think the fans always get a chance to hear or see. This is a guy who inspires a lot of loyalty and a lot of trust within the organization. And you see it manifest, like you said, when, hey, if there is a bit of a rough patch, no one is suddenly, thinking that he has anything to do with that it's people just know, like, this is a man that I'm going to follow and I trust him to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, and I watched the quarterback Netflix documentary, and to see Kirk Cousins and when he brings up Todd Bowles and he's like, that guy's made, and he gave him so much love. And of course, we didn't like how it turned out last year against the Falcons, but just to see Kirk Cousins just throw so much love towards Todd Bowles, I was like, wow, that was really nice and an unexpected, bouquet of flowers that Todd Bowles got on the national scheme there. I want to ask you about expectations this year, because I feel like when you're looking at sports incrementally, you want to get a little bit better. You want to get, of course, the whole Tom Brady thing threw for a loop. Yeah, just win a Super Bowl his first year. Yeah, that's great. But it doesn't always happen like that, right? Sometimes you have to learn how to lose before you win, and you win the division and then you win another game. But I feel like this is the year where just winning the division and just making the playoffs it's just not enough, it seems like. And it doesn't mean that the season's a failure, but there's a lot of good players on this team. And I think you're starting to hear it more nationally. I know you've seen it from podcasts and some of these people that have come into town. Pete Prisco was on the other day saying the Buccaneers might be the team to beat in the NFC. What do you see as far as expectations? I know they're going to take it one game at a time. They're not going to put the cart before the horse, but there's got to be some semblance of like, hey, we want to go on a deep postseason run. We're good enough to do so.
Yeah, I think that this team, it is no longer enough in their mind, based on the talent we have and how they feel about themselves, to just shoot for winning the NFC South. Mm-hmm. Their expectations are absolutely higher than that they believe this is a team that has Super Bowl level talent, expectations. And of course, there's always a million factors into that in terms of things like injuries and how the season can play out. But in terms of just what we have in this building, this team feels like this is a Super Bowl potential team. And I think you see a lot of evidence of certain decisions of whether it is guys like Levante that are just like, yep, coming back, like guys that they're doing this because of what they believe this team can be. And I think the coaches, the scouts, the staff, the players, you just feel it all around the building of like, this is potentially going to be special. And how cool, I mean, lining up with it being the 50th season, like what a perfect time to make a deep playoff run, to really get to revel in this and have, it be a season-long celebration of success. I think that would just be amazing. But it's true. I think this is not a lip service. I think that you can see a difference in teams that are just saying, oh yeah, we have high expectations, versus a team that feels it and that makes decisions accordingly.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. And you see it when you bring in Hassan Reddick, and it's hard not to think like, oh, this is kind of like the Simeon Rice move, right? And you see Levante coming back, or the JPP move. Yeah, exactly. So I love that. I like when you set a goal high, and then your expectations and everything has been raised. What kind of impact do you think like the Tom Brady years had on that? Because I feel like, and I said this being there before that, and then no disrespect, because I loved Jameis, was always great to me, but it was a lot of fun. But when Tom came here, it was no balls hit the ground. There was it just seemed like everybody's day at practice. And of course, we're on the outside looking in. It was more of like, this is where our standard is, and we're not going to drop. And I feel like Levante and Mike and Tristan, it's one of those guys, like they've been able to carry that over. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I think that there was definitely a culture setting experience there, that him coming in, I mean, he's the GOAT, right? And no player wants to be the one that lets down the GOAT. Mm-hmm. And I think you can maybe think and feel and believe you're giving 100%. But if the person you admire more than anyone in the world suddenly is like over your shoulder watching you work, there's a chance you might elevate just that much more. And I think that people under him got to see and experience what it means to feel like the expectation is to win every game. There is never a point when you're out of it. And the different feeling of, oh, well, like 2 minutes left, we got this. That there is an overall feeling that happens, and a culture, he said, like you said, that we are not, like, balls are not hitting the ground. This is what we're about. This is what we do. And I was really excited to see that when he left, that didn't leave, that remained after him. And I give a lot of credit to all of our players who are leaders on the team for helping to continue that on, for your Mike Evans and Levante Davids and Chris Godwins, to say, no, that is still the standard. That is still how we carry ourselves. And I do believe it has had a lasting impact.
Yeah, I remember those late victories when he's throwing the ball to Scotty Miller and K-Dot, and it was just like whatever whoever's open.
Yep, I'm giving it to anybody. There's no prejudice here. I'm throwing to whoever's open.
That's right. All right, Casey, before I let you go, let everybody know when the rest of the reveals for the top 50, because again, it was unbelievable last night. The second batch is tonight, correct?
That is correct. Yep. So we're unveiling them here. We're just back to back, dropping them out. And I can't wait to hear everybody's thoughts. Make sure you're staying tuned, watch it live, talk with people, comment. We love all of the discourse back and forth, or watch it later. But yeah, they're all on YouTube, on the Buccaneers account. And we have some very special guests coming to be able to talk about some different sections of players. We got a lot of fun people. No spoilers, can't give anything away. No spoilers, but we have some really cool people coming in to talk about the players. And of course, I can't wait for people to see the top 10, because that's the one that everyone is probably going to debate the heaviest of how do you order. And what's so cool to me is that we have so many incredible players in the Bucs history that I know everyone will be arguing. I know
Yeah.
that everyone will be like, he should be number one. He should be number three. He should be this. And I'm like, what a cool thing to see, that it's not just going to be, oh yeah, this makes sense. I'm sure there will be a bunch of opinions, and that's what's so beautiful, is it means there were that many really talented people. And also what I think is really cool about it is the fact that this has been it's largely, like, almost completely based on fan vote. We had some media members and some internal people who were here kind of take a look at it as well, make sure they felt like everybody got their fair shake that needed to, especially some of the more unsung guys maybe.
Right.
And so, but it was largely fan vote. And I think that's what was really cool about it, is watching to see what Bucs fans thought of these players and these people. So yeah, I hope everybody tunes in. It's going to be fun. There's some fun ones coming up and some fun commentary for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the history of the franchise, ups and downs, and some of the highest highs, right? To go with the lowest lows, and some of the guys that maybe, in the 70s and 80s during some of the lean years were able to really kind of, this is where they get their love too. So, which I think is great. I asked 3 different people, and 3 people had a different top 3. So
see, I love that. That's what I love. This is going to be fun.
List is amazing. Buccaneers team reporter Casey Phillips. Casey reporting on all social media platforms. Casey, thank you so much for your time. You made our show a whole heck of a lot better. And yeah, see you at practice, or I'll see you Saturday at the game. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Jay. I'll see you soon.
You got it.